Hello, back with another review, this time on Alien Romulus, the new film in the Alien series obviously, but also the new film from director Fede Alvarez, whose film, the only film I've seen from him is the Evil Dead remake, and that was very good. So I was very excited to see this, especially after I watched the Alien series for the first time, last year, and I enjoyed most of them. First one, very, very good, masterpiece, I could say. Aliens, really good follow-up, very different, but also really good in its own right. Alien 3, not so great. For one of my favourite directors, David Fincher, not so great. Alien Resurrection, decent. Prometheus, decent, really visually great. Some stuff that I didn't love, I found it a little bit boring, but I think it was alright. Alien Covenant, not so great because I found the characters very dumb, but also visually great. So yeah, mixed bag, I guess you could say. I'd say it's more on the positive side than the Predator series. Although there's actually maybe the same amount of films that I really like and then the same amount of films that I'm not in love with. Although The Predator is so bad that it kind of counteracts all the good sometimes when I think about the series. Whereas Alien, when I think about it, overall I think of it as good. So yeah, I was very excited for this new movie, especially because the cast looked really great. Kaylee Spaney, she's been in some good things this year. I really like Priscilla. I really like Civil War. David Johnson, he was in Rye Lane, which is one of my favourite films of last year. And Isabella Merced hasn't been in the best things, but she's been good in the things she's in. So Madam Web, bad movie, but she's good in the movie. And then also this film, Turtles All the Way Down, which was cute, and she's good in that. Good performance, even though the film's not amazing, but it was cool. So cast was very promising, director was promising. That first trailer was also promising because it looked visually stunning. And I'm pleased to say, I think the film's pretty good. There's some issues I have with it that lots of other people have with it, but for the positives, visuals, amazing. This is probably one of the best looking Alien films. Covenant and Prometheus look amazing as well, but there's something about the practical set design and just the vibe of this film that I really enjoy. It's crazy to think that this was going to go straight to Hulu and Disney Plus because it was made for the theaters for me. Seeing this in IMAX was insane. The CGI was amazing, as well as the practical effects, because they put a focus on the practical effects in all the marketing and the interviews and in the film obviously, but the CGI is equally as impressive. So yeah, visually very well shot. The cinematography is great. I loved all the sweeping shots of this space station. We really get a feel for the space station as a character in itself, as a very good location and setting for the whole film. It feels lived in, and it feels like there's been stuff that's happened in the past that's ruined the space station. It feels like there's history and that these characters have ended up in this place that they should not be in, and it's like a very good haunted house kind of, space station with a xenomorph or a few xenomorphs on it. And I really like that it feels like it's a real place because physical sets and amazing set design. So really enjoy that. The acting was just as impressive as I was expecting, but David Johnson blew it out of the park. I knew I liked him from Rye Lane, but this just really solidified me as a fan of his because Andy is the standout. Everyone's been saying it, but his performance as Andy is so great. The twists and turns he takes and his performance really amplifying those twists and amplifying those changes is very impressive. The crux of the sibling relationship between Rain and Andy really, and the troubles it goes through, really relies on his performance selling this change in personality. So love his performance. So great, unsettling but also charming and likable at the same time all throughout the film. I also appreciated that this film kind of goes back to the horror roots of Alien, but also keeps the action elements of Aliens. So it's a good balance between, there are some scary moments and there are some tense moments, but there's also some fun gunning down the xenomorph moments. So I think it balanced it well. I think I got basically both sides of my Alien love out of this film, and that was really cool. And I also just like the world building. It just feels very naturally done. It feels like it fits right into the Alien series quite well, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very enjoyable film because it looks good, it's well acted, the story's not too complicated, but it's also not too simple for me, and I was invested in the story and the narrative and the characters' wants and needs and emotional moments. I think it worked well for me. And the last act, everyone's been saying it, but really worked for me. That was really good. For negatives, I will say the whole, I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time I feel like it's been out long enough to say, but there's a choice they make. This very Rogue One bringing back Tarkin with CGI. I don't love it. I would just say I think it really doesn't fit in the movie. It feels out of place. It feels like it exists. Like I said, it feels very Star Warsy, like Disney Star Wars. I'm not a Disney Star Wars hater, but it does feel like this weird, fan servicey moment in a film that has fan service, but in a different kind of way. And it feels more like, fun Easter egg, or yeah, it's a line callback. It's a bit corny, but that's okay. This felt more like The Flash, where it's like, we really bring back this dead actor with CGI and it doesn't look good? Why do we need to do that? There's loads of other androids you can bring back. There's loads of other characters you can bring back for fan service or moments or whatever. This didn't feel necessary at all. It felt placed in weirdly. It felt out of place. It was just strange, and I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't like how it's kind of soured the rest of the film. It soured a lot of the discussion online as well, because lots of the other things of the film aren't being talked about, because this truly, not very cool thing is making people kind of lose sight of what I feel like is a good movie. And sure, another negative is that it doesn't really forward its own personal, unique voice or whatever, because although actually I do think the visuals are very distinct and unique, and the relationship Rain and Andy have is very distinct. I feel like that is the element where I really feel like it's doing its own thing. But yeah, it does feel like a trip down memory lane of the whole Alien series. It takes elements of every movie in ways that I think is really cool, but also in ways where it's like, if there is a sequel, you need to do your own thing. If there's a sequel and it does its own thing, and this was just a reintroduction to the series for modern audiences, old audiences who have lost touch with the series, they just needed a kind of jumping off point that's more like the original Alien, fine. But if there's a sequel and it feels more like, just fan service once again, I won't be in love with that. I think you can get away with it a bit if this is just it's the first Alien movie under Disney. It's the first Alien movie in a while. It's like almost 10 years. To be fair, I don't mind that they kind of use this as like a jumping off point for new or even existing fans who just haven't seen the movies in a while, I just think going forward, you really need to just forge your own path and make it unique. You can get away with it once. For me, some people you can't even get away with it. Some people are not enjoying this movie because of the fan service and the reliance on older themes and ideas and just elements from older movies and callbacks and everything. For me, you can only do it once, and now you just need to get on with it and do something else. Prey is a great example. To me, I feel like Prey isn't so different to the original Predator as much as people are saying, or people aren't comparing Prey to Predator the same way they're comparing Alien Romulus to the rest of the Alien series. Maybe that's just because I genuinely think it's mainly not true, not because there wasn't such an obvious callback or obvious bringing back something from the original as bringing back a dead actor with CGI. I genuinely think if that wasn't in there, people's perception of the film as like a fan servicey fan fiction movie wouldn't be as high, because there wouldn't be like this one beacon of it in the film. It kind of brings out everything else more in your head, because you're like, oh wow, now I'm thinking about how the fan service is in my face. I'm gonna spot everything else. Whereas in Prey, there were a couple callback lines and moments, like the whole plot is quite similar, not entirely. Prey is very unique in my eyes, but I just think that decision in Alien Romulus really brought out the rest of it being quite similar. But to be fair, there are just other things that are quite similar. So I understand the critique, and it even is a critique of mine a bit, but not enough to make me think it's a bad movie, because I've seen people say that this movie is abysmal, it's more like a theme park ride, blah blah blah. To me, I think it's pretty good. It could have been a bit gorier, but considering Evil Dead 2013 is also by Fede, it doesn't feel as intense and gory and bloody as that. But for what it is, I think it's a great jumping off point for a new lineage of Alien movies, as long as it is truly leaving this kind of fan service and callbacky vibe behind. If this is just the jumping off point and then we go into our own lane, sure, it works as like an origin point. But if this is a sign of more of what's to come, I'm not that excited for that. It works like a one-time. I think it's really good. I think it's probably going to be rewatchable, for me at least. And yeah, I think it fits into the series quite well. I like how it uses elements from all the films when it's more like a narrative thing or like a world-building thing, less of a, they kind of just stole that idea, or they just use that line or callback or theme. again. But I think it's flawed, but not terrible. I like it. I came out happy, so that tells you something. I think it's a decent to good alien movie, good horror movie, good action movie. The fact that I can say those different things all at once tells me that it was varied enough in my eyes. So yeah, I think I would recommend this to someone who hasn't seen the alien movies or someone who has. I think that's also a really impressive thing, that it meets in the middle of being accessible to all. So yeah, I really liked it. I'm hoping for more from the Alien franchise now. I love Alien and Predator, and I think Alien, Romulus and Prey together kind of represent a bright future for the franchise for me. When I think about those two, it gets me excited, and that's also what's important. I'm genuinely like, yes, I need to see more now. Whether they cross over, that would also be great. Whether they don't, that's fine. It's just important to me that I feel like these franchises have kind of got a good start at Disney, and it doesn't feel like a Force Awakens to some, because I like Force Awakens, but some people don't. To me, this isn't a Force Awakens of Alien. To some it is, and that's interesting. Perception, different opinions, it's all very interesting. But yeah, I've rambled for long enough. I like it. So I'm gonna give Alien Romulus a curry rice. My next video should be out very soon, so less than a week, a few days. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching and have a rice day.